It is now Friday, in the third day for the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and there's so much for us to talk about because today we are diving into the spoilers. Yes, I'm giving you my spoiler review, talking about anything and everything that happened within the film, how I felt. Now, I've only watched it once. I am watching it a second time tonight, so I probably should have just waited just one more time, but I've got so much footage that I actually captured on my phone and stuff, so I'm still pretty fresh on the movie and remember everything pretty well. But I'm just here to give you guys my takes and pretty much what I thought and talk about everything. I'll also be showing some images that I took during the movie as well. So yes, this is going to be spoilers, so if you haven't watched the movie yet, get out of here. What are you doing? Just save the video and come back to it later. But real quick, before we get started, we are just 12,000 subscribers away from our goal of 400,000 subs. You can make that happen by just leaving a like and subscribing today. If you love everything the Mario Galaxy movie and Nintendo, you're going to want to make sure you are here. So let's see how many people we can get to subscribe from this video alone. Thank you for tuning in, and let's jump into the Super Mario Galaxy movie and my full review. Yes, spoilers included. This is your final time. You are being warned. Okay, moving on. I don't know how to exactly tackle this. It's not going to be super organized with this video. I'm just going to be rambling about things, but I think I'm going to start off with the characters. It's easier for me. Just starting off with, how are the characters? Rosalina, actually fine. I know a lot of people said that she had too small of a role, or it felt weird, like she had lesser of a role than Fox. I do not agree. She fit her role really well. She had her battle in the beginning and then locked up, and then, they still showed her off and on. But yes, could it have been more Rosalina? Of course, but you're going to need some type of character that's kind of the damsel in distress, the main reason for the story. They could have went with something else, like Bowser just stealing Power Stars again. Definitely, and that's something we'll talk about later, how this movie is not Galaxy at all. But yeah, Rosalina I felt like was fine. You'll probably get more of her in the next movie or whatever. It's fine. No, not a big deal, because there's something bigger that we got to talk about with her and another character later on. Fox was absolutely great. I was so happy they showed his entire crew, even if it was just like an anime-style cutscene, a little 2D scene. I love that. And they even gave references to the attack carriers, one of the first bosses in Star Fox 64. That was awesome. It felt like a piece of Star Fox was just integrated into this movie. Like the game itself was just integrated into this movie, and it was great. He has a great voice actor. Glenn Powell just bodies the character. I mean, he's absolutely Star Fox with his voice and everything. It's perfect. And if you didn't know, him and Donald Glover both reached out to Nintendo to voice Star Fox and Yoshi respectively. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, Fox was awesome. I'd say personality wise was a little strange. He came off a little like too celebrity-like. The Lumas were acting like him, and he's just like this big fancy Fox, and he's just the coolest, greatest guy ever, which I know Fox is cool and all, but I feel like that's more like Falco's behavior, the way he was acting a lot of the time. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I just felt like he was a little too over the top a little bit, not too much. I don't know. I don't know. He was great, but I feel like he needed to tone it back a little bit. But of course, when he's not leading his crew, it's a little different when he's just alone. So they got to give him more than just a leader personality. It would have been kind of boring. Yoshi was absolutely phenomenal. Sounded like Yoshi, acted like Yoshi. I'm glad they didn't make Yoshi this stupid bumbling kid or anything like this. He hatches and he's just a normal Yoshi. You know what I mean? He's not a baby, which I'm glad they didn't do that. Yeah, his character was awesome. He made me laugh a lot of times in the movie. So I have no complaints with him. Bowser Jr. was good. His voice feels a little too old still. I think it's Benny Safdie. It just sounds a little too old for a kid. You know what I mean? I think back to Mario Sunshine and just the his sounds in the other games. He's very childlike, and I didn't really get that all that much. His eyes were still bothering me. They bother me. I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of them. They look so weird in some of the scenes. Like there's a scene with him and Bowser in a clown car flying over Bowser Land, and it's so noticeable, and it's just so. It takes me out of it. Like, why does his eyes look like a demented dragon? Like, he looks so much eviler than Bowser. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. Bowser, by the way, had a very weird character change in this movie. So he starts the movie completely in love with Mario and Luigi. Like, even after everything they did to him, they bring him back to his normal size, and he still shows them love. He even sacrifices himself to the Honey Queen in the Honey Hive Galaxy so that the bros can go back home. And I'm thinking, okay, what's the catch here? I'm like, oh, okay, as soon as Bowser Jr. gets him, you can be like, all right, now it's time. You know what I mean? Bowser Jr. saves him, and then it's just like, I still love Mario and Luigi. Let's not hurt them. I'm like, ew, what is this? Isn't Bowser? Like, what? And even Bowser Jr. is just like, Dad, this is what you've wanted. Like, why you're a bad guy, you know? Like, what are we doing here? It's very strange. And then out of, he's even, like, Bowser Jr. is trying to take out Star Fox and Mario and Luigi in the R-Wing, and Bowser's like, no, don't hurt them, don't shoot them, as long as you use the Baby Ray. Like, why is Bowser doing this? There's no way he's built, like, the entire time he's little, he's doing all these threats at Mario, saying, I'm gonna burn you, I'm gonna destroy you. So it completely threw me off. Like, he gets giant and just kisses Mario and moves on. Like, he genuinely kisses Mario in this movie, I'm not joking. Very strange. I don't know how I feel about his character. He eventually gets back to being evil at the end, but it feels so forced. Like, it was just like, you were just, like, over half of this movie in love with Mario and Luigi for some reason. What's going on? Yeah, I don't like, that's not Bowser. That's never been Bowser. Bowser, even when he had Mario and Luigi in his stomach, he didn't know it. I mean, he just knew Chippy was in there. He didn't even like Chippy, even though it helped him out. And he was thankful sometimes. He still was like, bossing him around, being mean and grumpy. Like, that's Bowser. It was strange. Anyways, Wart and the Honey Queen are hardly in this movie. Honey Queen is literally in this movie for like a minute. Super weird. I'm like, did they even need to go to the Honey Hive Galaxy? Did they only go there just for the sake of saying, like, hey, we got to throw in a galaxy in here because there's only like 2 galaxies in the whole movie? Yeah, that's how I felt. She felt very weird, very strange. They also made her like extremely mean, like a Alice in Wonderland type of evil queen or something. I don't know how I felt about her character. I know they had to give her something because in the game she really has no character. She's just nice, fuzzy, big bee. So I guess they gave her something, but it feels like something happened in the Honey Hive Galaxy that we missed. Like, you can see the Bugaboom bugs there, and the Mandibugs, I think they're called, and they're just there. And they look like they're enslaved. She's like, here, take this ugly bug and get out of here. So, like, I feel like there was, like, a big war or something that went on with the bugs, and we just missed it. I don't know. It just felt like there was just stuff missing. Like, what was the point of them even going there? There's a lot of things that I had to question why they even went there. The whole baby thing, going to the dinosaur planet. Why did they even do that? What was the point? I don't know. Like, it felt kind of pointless. Like, I didn't need to see them as babies. I don't know. It was some strange choices they made for sure. As far as the story goes, there's no story whatsoever. Absolutely no story. I mean, the story is they have to save Rosalina, and that's it. Now, I will say, in defense of Mario games, they never had stories, like, ever. I mean, it's been the plot of every story. Go save the princess, go collect something, go stop Bowser. So, I can't blame them, but this is a movie. When you make a movie, you gotta make some changes and add some sort of story. And they could have, because the original Mario Galaxy had story. I mean, you have Rosalina's backstory, you have the sad part at the end where Mario says bye to the Lumas and the galaxy resets. Like, they could have done something like that. And the fact that they just kind of ignored the entire plot of Galaxy, they ignored Galaxy in total. Like, they completely ignored it. It's crazy. In fact, there's only 2 galaxies in this movie. 2 galaxies. It feels like there's just a bunch of random worlds and levels and ideas slapped together, but they just left Galaxy on the back burner. The 2 galaxies are Gateway Galaxy, which is completely different and completely changed in this movie to be a giant airport, pretty much. It's Sunshine Airport, but with spaceships. And then you have Honey Hive Galaxy, which you barely saw any of it. I mean, you really just saw some flowers and then the inside of the castle for the queen, which isn't even in the game. There was no castle in the game. So, I mean, it didn't even feel like we stopped at any galaxies. There's some little Easter egg planets in the background. Like, you'd be like, oh, that's the egg from Good Egg Galaxy. That's the peanut from Good Egg Galaxy. Or, that might be Drip Drop Galaxy that we flew by. They'll put it on the website. Like, for instance, on the website, it says Drip Drop Galaxy, which is just like a small planet that they fly by in 2 seconds in the movie. They'll even say Space Junk Galaxies in the movie. Even Peach is like, we got to get to Space Junk Galaxy. Did I miss it? Because I didn't see Space Junk Galaxy. I just saw kind of like some asteroids in space, like a meteor herd that they went through, and that was it. Like, that was Space Junk Galaxy. I know Space Junk Galaxy is just a random bunch of junk in space, but like, this was nothing. It was just some rocks. Like, what are we doing? So yeah, they also do not fight a single enemy that's from Mario Galaxy in this game. In fact, the only person that I can think of that fights any enemy, period, is Peach, and she fights Mario Brothers 2 themed enemies and bosses. Also, that scene, they didn't add anything. They showed us everything already. They showed us every character that Peach was going to fight. We saw Claw Grip, we saw Birdo, we saw Mauser, we saw King Wart, we saw the Ninjas. There's no extra characters in that scene, which is crazy to me. Why did they show us all of that? You know what I mean? They could have kept Birdo a secret. They could have kept Claw Grip a secret, Mauser a secret. Like, there's other bosses in Mario Brothers 2 I thought they could have thrown in there, like Fry Guy. He's not in there. Triclyde. He's not in there. It's just like, why didn't they go all the way, you know, and throw in more Mario Brothers 2 enemies and stuff? But no, it was just like they kept it pretty basic. Like, everything that and that's the problem with this movie in general, I think, is 90%, okay, 90% is a lot. I'd say 75 or even 80% of the movie was stuff that we've seen in trailers already. Some of the scenes extended a little bit more for the movie version, obviously. But every time I saw the casino, like, oh, I know what's about to happen here. And exactly, it happened beat for beat, pretty much what we saw in the trailer. There was no secrets. You know, Nintendo has a problem with that with trailers. I feel like, shoot, every movie out there does the same thing as well. I feel like advertisement is more important than them caring about what people see in the movies. But yeah, Galaxy was left on the back burner, which I thought was weird. But yeah, like I said, there's no real story here. When you go into the character stories, I feel like those are the most interesting you're going to get. I love Bowser and Bowser Jr.'s kind of togetherness in this. That's my favorite part about the two characters, is I love how Bowser Jr. is just madly in love with his father. There's no resentment for him not being there for a couple of years. He just wants to save his dad and rule the galaxy with his dad and have fun with his dad. And that is Bowser Jr. I felt that character portrayal was perfect. I love that. The sisters plot was so weird. Yes, they're saying that in this movie, Peach and Rosalina are sisters, which is super weird. Rosalina is Peach's older sister. She, I guess, had some evil threat try to attack her and Peach and sent Peach to the Mushroom Kingdom, which is so strange because I'm like, okay, why didn't Rosalina go with her? What was this evil threat chasing Rosalina? They didn't even touch on that. How did she get away from that threat? Why was Peach and Rosalina as kids on this random asteroid in space? Are they saying this is what happened? You know, I'm guessing this is the storybook details where Rosalina was on that planet with the Luma all alone, but instead, this time it's Rosalina and her little sister, Peach, being on that planet all alone. It's still weird. Like, why? How did they get up there? Why are they up there? Why was Peach up there as a baby, pretty much, with her older sister? Very, very strange stuff, man. I don't know. And does this mean that in the games they're related now? I can make a whole video about this because this is just, yeah, I thought that was so strange. They touched on it for like 30 seconds in one flashback and it was over. It was so like, how are you going to hit us with lore like that after all these years and then just move on? Like, oh, okay, that's your sister. Okay. I'm like, what? That was my biggest, like, what moment? Like, they're not going to elaborate on this? They're not going to go any further? Like, are they going to even try to explore this in the future? What was the evil thread? You know, more of the sisters' background. Where are they even from? Who are their parents? Like, there's so much. There's just so much. But anyways, yeah, they should have just went with the Galaxy story. You know, I feel like a more contained movie where Mario just went on a journey with Yoshi, maybe even Luigi. Call it there. I don't even know if they really needed to have Peach and Toad in this movie that much at all. But just had Mario, or it could have been Mario and all his friends, just going on a journey from galaxy to galaxy, just going through various different galaxies from the game, and, you know, tracking down power stars or something to stop, like, maybe a big galaxy reactor that Bowser was building to defeat the galaxy. And Rosalina could have helped and stuff. I don't know. I felt like it was very weirdly paced. It was just like they had all these random ideas that weren't Galaxy and forced it into this movie. Speaking of pacing, I felt like the first half of the movie had some pretty decent pacing. There was moments, there were slower moments and stuff, and the pacing didn't really pick up towards the end. I feel like it wrapped up super quickly. But also Easter eggs. A lot of people on there online have said it's just a slop of an Easter egg fest. I don't know what the heck they're watching. I made a full video pretty much breaking down any and every single Easter egg. I've recorded so much footage. There's a lot of Easter eggs, but none of them, like half of them I didn't even catch on my first watch. I had to go back and look at the recordings I made because they were so hidden. They're not really in your face. There's some stuff at the very end, but like for the most part, the Easter eggs were just stuff hidden in the room, stuff in the background, certain characters that were just in the background. It didn't feel like anything was super forced. Sure, you had to, you know, the SS Dolphin in the Pikmin land and jump out. But like, for instance, Samus's gunship is in this movie. I didn't even see it. So like, you know, the first time I didn't even see it. I feel like the Easter eggs were definitely not in your face. I don't know what people are talking about. Besides the ending, obviously, the final battle was just like, boom, here's these power-ups, which Mario's about power-ups. I don't see that as Easter eggs, but okay, boom, here's Mr. Game & Watch. That's a pretty in-your-face Easter egg. Hey, boom, here's the dragon, the Lord of Lightning from Super Mario Odyssey. That's a pretty in-your-face Easter egg. But like Bowser turning into dry Bowser, that's stuff that happens in the game. Like that's not really, that's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like Bowser goes into the lava, that's what's going to happen. I was like, he's either going to turn into dry Bowser now, or he's going to grow really, really big, like we've seen in the games. I think people confuse what an Easter egg is compared to what a reference is. Referencing something from the games, when you're making a Mario movie, you need to pull from specific things from the Mario games. That's just how it works. Now, anything that's just kind of like Star Fox outside of Mario, Game & Watch outside of Mario, throwing in a random Lord of Lightning, I get it. Those are Easter eggs that are just kind of boom in your face. But there's so many little things that I didn't even notice. Like I didn't even notice Little Mac and Doc Lewis going by. That was a thing. There's a lot of things like I didn't even notice. But I feel like they handled Easter eggs really, really well. It didn't feel overwhelming. I felt like the first movie felt more overwhelming. It was like every little thing was like an Easter egg. Like in Brooklyn, every poster, every sign, everything was an Easter egg when they were in the real world. It was crazy. I didn't feel that here. So I actually felt like it was handled better here. Yeah, but that's the story if there really even is one. But a couple other mindless thoughts I had. The ending wrapped up quick, like I said. I think the ending was pretty cool. It just, things happen so fast. The fight with Mario, Luigi, Yoshi versus Bowser and Bowser Jr. only lasted like 2 minutes of like actual fist fight. If that, it was like a minute. I just wish the fighting actually lasted longer and there were more power-ups that they used. Once again, they showed us pretty much every power-up that's in this movie outside of like a couple that were barely used. There was like 2 at the very end of the movie that they saved, but yeah, once again, they're showing us way too much. Daisy is here. That's great. She was the post-credit scene. Why is she in space? I don't know. That's what I don't understand. Like, how does space work in this world now? Like, the Cascade Kingdom, it's its own galaxy. Like, are we going to stay in the galaxy style? Like, are we going to constantly be in space, going to different planets and stuff? How does that work? But yeah, is Sarasaland on another planet? Why was she in the Gateway Galaxy and not like in the Mushroom Kingdom, or at least on the Earth where the Mushroom Kingdom is? There should have been more side characters. I felt like there was a gap. Like EGAD, I cannot believe wasn't in this movie. There was like a coffee mug with his logo on it. Tons of his devices, like the Poltergust 5000 was here in an Easter egg. The Flood was here in an Easter egg. Bowser Jr.'s paintbrush is here. How, like, there's tons of laboratories. They could have explained how, like, Megalay got built, the planet got built for Bowser Jr., his laboratory, all that stuff. EGAD, it was like perfect. All the like electronics were red with green screens and stuff. It would have made so much sense. They could have tied him into like a tease at a Luigi's Mansion movie. He just felt like a character that was snobbed of Spot. Like, I don't understand. Like, he was just completely not here, which is strange to me. Once again, Galaxy should have just been the primary focus. I think they probably should have went on with something else and did like Mario World first before going to Galaxy. If they want to establish characters, I feel like Galaxy wasn't the movie to do that. They needed to focus on Galaxy and its story and its worlds, rather than saying, hey, this is who we're going to introduce Bowser Jr., this is where we're going to introduce Rosalina, this is where we're going to introduce, all these characters. They should have just stuck with that. But the music was phenomenal. The music was great. There's only a couple licensed themes that I heard. 95% of the music was just Galaxy remixes, and it tied into some really good scenes. I think the best Galaxy scenes were like the beginning of Galaxy and the road to Bowser at the end. They replicated those 2 scenes perfectly with the music and everything. Like going to the Galaxy's Bowser's reactor or whatever, it was the same song. It was the same looking theme, blasting through the airships to get there. It felt very, very much like Galaxy, but everything else was just stripped out. It's like they just gave us the beginning intro of Galaxy and then the very ending of Galaxy and left out everything else and just kind of made up stories for everything else that didn't have anything to do with Galaxy. So I don't know, but I know I'm sounding kind of harsh on this, but I'm just saying this. It's okay to criticize. I see people online saying, who cares what you expected of a Mario Galaxy movie? I've said that before. And I'm like, look, okay, at the end of the day, there's going to be fans that are just straight up going to love this. Like, the audience score is over a 90%. And the, critic score is under a 40%. So, like, I get it. Or technically under, like, a 45%. I get it. Critics are going to eat this movie up because there's not a lot of substance here. But fans are going to love this movie because there's a lot of things to love just throughout the Mario franchise. If you turn your brain off and say this is not a Galaxy movie, this is just a second movie for the Mario films, you're gonna love this thing. But if you decide to, you know, sit too much thinking like, dude, this isn't Galaxy, then you're probably not gonna like it as much. Personally, I came to about a 7 to a 7.5. I think it's really good. I think it's incredibly funny. I really do think it's funny. Is it better than the first one? I'm not quite sure. They do some things that are better than the first one, but overall, I feel like with the lesser lack of story, the lack of focus on, you know, specific characters, you know, the lack of focus on it being a Galaxy movie was probably my biggest, you know, takeaways. And they just left a lot of questions on the table still. Made some jarring decisions with characters like Bowser's, you know, kind of character arc, and also Rosalina and Peach being sisters without really explaining anything about it. They just left a lot of stuff on the table. And I'm wondering if they're going to touch on any of that, or they're just going to go on with the next movie, introduce even more characters like Wario, Daisy, Waluigi, the Koopalings, and just leave even more lore on the table. Like, where did Bowser Jr. come from? They just said boarding school. Like, is there a mom? I know the games obviously don't touch on that, but like, you know, give us something. I don't know. But yeah, overall, I did like the movie. I did. I thought it was a feast for the eyes. It's beautiful. There was fun fight scenes. It felt very Mario-like. It was incredibly funny. Like I said, a lot of reviewers said it wasn't that funny. It was childish. Maybe I'm just a big grown man child because I was giggling and laughing at literally almost every scene. I thought it was a hilarious movie. I thought it was way funnier than the first movie. So yeah, but like I said, I'm going back to see it again tonight with my wife. If anything changes, I'll be sure to let you know. But yeah, that's just kind of my spoiler take on everything. So if you've seen the movie already, which I'm assuming you have if you made it to the end of this video, let me know what you thought. Let me know if you liked it more than me. Was it more than a 7 or a 7.5 for you? Did you like it less than I did? If so, let me know why. But overall, I can see why people are upset, but I can also see why people really love the thing. And it's fine to be on either side. Don't let people bully you and saying like you can't like something, or you have to like something. You know, that's the way this world works now. It's either you have to be positive or you have to be negative. You can't be on both. So I have a little bit of positive and negative about this movie. I still had a fun watch, and I'm going to watch it a second time. That should tell you enough. But thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you check out my full analysis I posted yesterday if you have watched the movie, because I'm sure there are so many Easter eggs that you absolutely missed, and I was even surprised by so many that I missed when I was making the video. So make sure you check that out. Leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things the Mario movie and Nintendo in general, and I hope you all have a blessed day. See you guys.